I'm Pastor Brett Davis, and I have a beautiful commute to church, but I feel like half the time I don't even appreciate it. I don't even open my eyes to see. And yesterday morning I was walking, and this little girl and her mom were stopped right here on the sidewalk, and the little girl, only like 2 or 3, was pointing all the way up at the trees. And I was thinking, what is she looking at? Because the trees are all bare and dead looking, and she's not taken by the Christmas decorations or anything else but by these trees. And as I walked by, I noticed she was pointing at a bird's nest all the way at the top, and her mom were talking about the little girl wanted to know if there were baby birds up there. And what a witness to new life and seeing what's around. And I really appreciated and was touched by the little girl's open eyes to see what we adults often miss. And I was also touched by her mom's patience and being taught and open to what her daughter had to say. This week's scripture made me think of that because it says that the wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. It has these visions of places blooming that we think won't bloom. And so I invite you this week to open your eyes and to see how the scripture says that they shall see the glory of the Lord, the majesty of our God. So where do we see it this week? How do we see it? Theologian Jürgen Moltmann says that we don't expect the benefits, so we don't see them, even though they are all around us. Do we see little things coming to life? Do we notice how even in winter, even when things feel dead, even in times of waiting, there are signs around us? The scripture goes on this week to describe this holy way that opens in God's kingdom, that people travel on it like a sidewalk. But I love this image that it says that even fools will not go astray. So you can't get lost on God's way. And what keeps us from seeing God? Is it that we think we need like a degree, or we think we need some kind of expertise, or we're anxious about not calling it right, where God might actually be? Well, I wonder about those things, and I want to invite you just to be bold and to look at them and proclaim them, and to see and to say, I see new life there. I'm excited about that. To be like that little girl pointing up at the tree and seeing and wondering when that new life is going to show up. So I invite you to read scripture, to see and open your eyes, because we're just fellow travelers on the road, and God says even fools will not go astray, and I take that as good news. I want to offer to you the words of Richard Rohr in a brief video from The Work of the People, which will play here in just a moment. And I want to invite you, and I pray for you, to see the ways in which new life is coming this week.
What do you think God is on about?
God is into giving away God. That's all God's doing, is giving away God. There's nothing else. That's God's job description. I want to give away some more God. And God is trying through every metaphor, every act of creation, every moment of time to reveal a little more of God. And darn it, God has the hardest time giving away God. It's like we create barriers and obstacles and racetracks, and it just breaks your heart. And I'm sorry, I'm a priest, but the worst ones are clergy because it keeps us in business. I know I'm talking cynically, but it keeps us in business to keep explaining the obstacles and the racetrack and you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to believe, and you got to read this translation of the Bible, and the true Greek says this, and it's everywhere. It's all the time. So a good teacher is basically not telling people what to see, but teaching people how to see. And all you got to do is teach people how to see, and then they'll see it. If we had taught people how to see, which means largely getting your own agenda out of the way. Your own fear, your own anger, your own limitations. It means you got to become very small and very humble and recognize that my seeing is always partial, and what's in the way is me. Once someone learns that, it's like that man who drove to visit me this morning. I don't know anything. And then I see everything. If you can keep that.